Okay. I'm not wired. I'm picking up this energy before I'm even wired, before I even have the cards in my hand. Okay. Um, so I'm picking up the energy of someone who, what I just, what just came to my head was someone who misjudged you, but it's way more than that. When they were with you, they, again, took you for granted, but it's way more than that. They hadn't dated a lot. And so what they had with you, they thought that like everyone has. It's like, that's the best way I can put it. And they, I guess, developed like some belief systems maybe about what they would have when you were gone. Not that they purposely treated you bad. I'm not getting that. I'm just getting that they just looked at it like whatever they were experiencing with you, including the emotions, that they would have that would just always be there. So we got the Ten of Wands. We have that, believe that's the Two of Pentacles. And then the Magician and the Ace of Pentacles. They weren't worried. They were a little carefree with it. So if things weren't going their way with you, yeah, this is kind of like this little like ho-hum energy. Like in the traditional card, they're handing, the three cups are there and they don't really care about them. And they're like trying to hand them another cup. And they're kind of like, oh, another cup. Like, I don't know. And yeah, so they weren't, you know, and I'm getting this like young energy. So this person could have been like, again, like I said, they didn't have that many experiences. This Two of Pentacles again. They didn't, I have two different decks in here pulling from. They didn't have very many experiences, so they didn't, you know, they just didn't know. Yeah. And so they assumed this. They just assumed that it would be that way. I'm getting this like very easy energy, this kind of almost like summer vacation energy, this kind of like quiet little by the lake summer energy. And then this person just wasn't interested in like carrying it or something. Like either if there was a separation, they just, you were kind of like, you know, when can I see you again? And they were kind of like, you know, what do you mean I'm leaving? This was sticking out of the deck. It's upside down. I'm gonna put it back in. It's Two of Wands. We'll see if it comes back out again. But I see this like Two of Pentacles energy, which usually I pick up as like going back and forth in it energy. I feel like the potential for that to go back and forth is there with these Two of Pentacles, but I think more of it was that, oh, I thought this, but then it was that, or, you know, I could have thought anything, but I thought this thing that put me on this like road to where, you know, I thought things were going to be a certain way, and, you know, then I just would date and I just find somebody or whatever, and that's not what happened at all. Yeah, actually, I'd like to see what happened. What happened? What the hell happened? Okay. It was just really easy. It was like a really easy relationship. And then they sort of just decided. They decided. And I'm not seeing that strength card as I needed strength to be in that relationship. I'm seeing that strength card as that relationship gave me strength. And so now here we are with this Nine of Swords afterwards, right? I'm kind of getting, this is like the decision making process. Like I had a belief, and then I decided, or the universe decided based on my belief. And this might have happened more than once with more than one like subject on the subject of love. And then I kind of got through it because I wasn't too worried about it, because again, I figured everything would just work out fine. And then something hurt. I might have had another relationship that kind of like tore me up, and I might not have even liked that person a whole lot either, the Tower in reverse. But they kind of did something to my ego, and then I sort of realized that there's a game to this. This is Six of Wands upside down. There's a game to this. Let's pull the other two cards. Here we go. All right. This is Nine of Cups energy and the Four of Wands energy. So we're not put out to the point where we, have lost our faith in love, but we just, we realized that, like I said, I think we realized a bunch of stuff. I think we realized that we weren't really paying attention to who we were choosing, and that's a big part of, like, I was going to say dating, but like trying to find your match, let's say. Trying to find your match, like trying to settle down with someone, right? Because again, when you make the mistake, it's, in some cases you can't get out of it. In some cases when you get out of it, it's ugly. Either way, some people don't even want to do that. Some people don't look at divorce as like a lesson. They look at it like a tragedy. Like, oh my God, I had to, I did this, and then I had to go with them. I thought that this was this, and, and it's very hard for them. And the reason why it really cuts like a knife is because we're talking about love. If we were just talking about a misunderstanding about the color of these pants we bought, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And because this person wasn't extremely invested emotionally when they had what they wanted, they didn't see the importance of it when it left. And then when they experienced some things that weren't really on their, like, I was going to say radar, I think what happened was they were shown some things that they couldn't even come up with themselves. Like, they either just were with someone who, like, didn't care more than they didn't care, and so treated the relationship as such, to the point where they kind of went, oh, is that what that looks like? This came out, but it was upside down. And so this person might have even had like used like the physical aspects of the relationship to I was going to say make it go the way they wanted it to go. It kind of brings me back to, there's a game to this. I feel like they also realized with certain people or with the opposite sex that sometimes they could get people to engage with them if they had a physical relationship, and then they would be more emotionally engaged. And then it wouldn't be so difficult to get someone to do what we wanted them to do. This Page of Pentacles right here. For some reason, I'm picking that card up as like a need to control what came next. And then we learned again. That's not going to bring us like love. I think you might have shown this person like unconditional love. And like I said, like relationships were so new to them, they thought that's just how people related to one another. They might have had like a really warm upbringing. Like literally one of those people who when they go home, like to visit their mom's house, like they instantly feel safe because they always were. And then they went out into the world and they like put their heart in other people's hands, and then they kept having to get into situations where they had to heal from it. And like I said, somebody may have even broken their heart, and they were kind of like, wait, how did that happen? I was in this like energy where I really didn't even really care, and then somebody hurt me. How does that work? And so they started realizing that they can't just go in and out of things, because they either can't be in a physical relationship and not catch feelings, or because they keep trying to replace you, and they keep forming these attachments to these people who are wrong. It doesn't really matter how they're wrong. They don't have to be faulty. Yeah. I can't make this up. Detached. Like basically it's like one-sided, or like, I feel this way, but this other person doesn't. I think it's not only everybody that they've been with, or have had situations with, which have caused them to think about what they want in a relationship, but I think it keeps bringing them back to what you offered and you didn't ever ask for anything. And they're realizing that, again, like, not everything that's passed around in love is tangible. Though some of the most, rewarding and hurtful things are not tangible when you're in a situation where your emotions are involved. And they want to feel safe again in a relationship, and they don't know how to do that. I think they're actually actively trying to figure out right now with the Judgment and the Justice on the table. I think that the possibility for them is there if they do it right. They have to acknowledge, first of all. I'm trying to get this card to just separate from the deck. If not, we'll pull, but I really want one to separate. But I think that one of the things that this person has to acknowledge is that you're unique. Even if there would be someone like you, they wouldn't be exactly like you. Like, for all intents and purposes, you're a snowflake. They're realizing that everyone's different from each other, and that, even the other people that they were with who didn't measure up to you were unique in their own way. They're getting that now. And they're trying to figure out how they're unique in their way. They're trying to figure out, now that they understand what was given to them, what they offer. They're trying to figure that out. Because they feel like they got themselves into situations where, they weren't really that invested, and they still got hurt with little or no effort from others, or, again, themselves. And they don't want that. They weren't really brought up like that, but also that they feel like that's a time waster. To just, their concept of dating is a time waster. How much time do I need to put into figuring out that someone isn't a match for me? What's a realistic amount of time? This person is literally protecting themselves now. And with you, they didn't have to. And like I said, with the people around them initially, the people that they had surrounded themselves with, maybe for a long time, they didn't have to protect themselves from them either. They were safe. There was safety. Okay. Yeah. So this is, again, them thinking about what it is that they want. A bunch of cards kind of fell out. And okay, so this is they felt how cold it could be. It didn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be this, ridiculously explosive situation. It could have been a very simple lie or some concept they hadn't thought of that happened. And they just were realizing what they wanted, what they were exposing themselves to. And it's a possibility that the people that were around them while they were doing this carefree dating thing were serial daters, or people who just wanted something from them. Wow, can't believe I said that. So clearly we're probably talking about a male. and then I have this. And this is telling me I have this, and then this kind of flipped out like with the rest of the cards. And it kind of tells me that that they understand not only like your value and like how unique you are, but the values, the qualities that you had that turn them on, that light their fire, that spark their desire to want to continue to go through this trouble, even if their heart's on the line to find someone worth it. You showed them that. I don't think originally they set out to find somebody that was like you. I think what happened was they were attracted to people who had certain qualities, and then they found out real quick that those people weren't like you. And so there was these little qualities here and there that they loved, but they weren't you. They were just like echoes in other people. Caring more about the situation at the time didn't actually count for this person. They had to go through the karma of kind of pissing away what they had when they had it, and then not knowing how to like circle back and go get it. Yeah, so if you are or aren't in contact with this person, even if you saw them on the street, they would want you to pretend like you don't know them because they're in a state right now. Yeah, and there could still be a remnant of their dating catastrophes following them around, keeping them in this. For some reason, I just looked at that look away card and I like pictured somebody who like who hadn't gotten any sleep, whose hair was unbrushed, who just could barely think straight because they're just being kept, and this could be you, kind of going, wow, it took you all that time. I forgot about you. Sometimes I feel like, I don't know why I'm getting this notion because I usually don't get this notion when I talk about relationships, but sometimes when we're getting out of something, we kind of like wish that, something happens to them. Not like something happens to them, but that they experience something similar to what they put us through so that, that's like our revenge or whatever. But then sometimes we don't really realize, like, I feel like if this is resonating with you, that you didn't realize either that not everyone was like you. You didn't know. You were just being yourself, and you were just expressing your love to this person, and you might not even really have loved them a lot. You just might have been free with the way you showed them your love for them. And they thought that this was going to be available forever, even if they could get it from someone else. And then you kind of walked away, and then you might have, given this to another, maybe even while still knowing this person or having this person see something like that, which could also trigger us into, hey, I had that and then I let it go and now I have this and this won't go away or whatever's going on, but this person, they have learned, I think are still learning to a certain extent, because I think they now understand that if the more they learn, the more they can increase their potential for happiness and whatever they do decide. I don't see on the table, whether or not they're actually going to try to find or come towards you. I don't see any burned bridges. I do see the excuse of being manipulated. And I do see, someone's idea that it took you a really long time. It's like when they've like fully healed, like you're like, I hope you find someone just like you, and then they do. And then they come back and they tell you, hey, you were right. I found somebody just like me. But you're like, well, dude, that was like 7 years ago. Like, you're just kind of like, I forgot about you until you showed up, and you even look different, so I wouldn't have even known, And it's kind of like you don't care anymore. You've also had like several relationships or whatever where somebody actually even maybe have treated you better, and so this person was never on your mind. It could be. But at the same time, sometimes when you are meant to experience that person again, sometimes you don't know it. Some people don't know it, that they're like in line for that. And if that is what this situation is popping up on this reading, it's popping up on this channel, this is a channel for, we might not be talking, but we had something at one point, even if it was just a connection that was not physical. And now here we are again dealing with each other, or dealing with this, or cleaning it up, or whatever this is. This is this person cleaning it up. Whether or not you're available for them would be something totally different. But I'll probably keep saying that it would most likely depend on how they approach you. If they show up and they, I'm sure there's a way to say all the right things. When you don't burn a bridge, I'm sure there's a way to say all the right things. The question is, do you mean it? Because if you say all the right things to me after I kicked you away for not doing whatever it was that I needed in the situation, and then you come back in on that premise of saying all the right things, but then you do the exact same thing, then after a while, it's almost kind of like insulting, because you're going to go, oh, so you know what to say, but you also know what not to do to keep me on the hook. Like, again, we're not, nobody's got extra anything for that. So, and of course they have to admit that they made a mistake, that they, even if it wasn't their fault, even if they weren't malicious, even if they didn't understand about unconditional love or you or themselves or whatever, being able to step forward and say the truth and say, look, this is exactly what happened. And knowing what you know about that person, saying, oh my God, I could see them getting into that situation, might be all that you need to actually mend this together. Like I said, I don't see this huge blow up. I see towers, but it's mostly towers for them. It's mostly problems for them, situations and realizations that were important to them that no one else cared about, that they were like, no, I need to do something about this because this isn't the way I want to live my life. And then they did it, or they're doing it. So, keep an eye out for this person, but also keep an eye out for where they are in their, I was going to say the recovery, but I meant healing. So keep that in mind until next time.